I'm going to show you how we use Axiom's basic scraper to get data from a page, BBC News page in this case, and write it to a Google Sheet. To begin, click Add First Step, and you'll see a set of beginner snippets that you may find useful. In this case, we have a snippet that covers our case, which is to get data from a page and send it to a Google Sheet. This will automatically scaffold a bot to do what you need. This bot's quite a simple one and composed only of 2 steps. In the Get Data step, it will populate it with the current page that you're on, in this case the BBC search. After this, I can start to select data. The data that I'd like to select is the page link, a title, and an image. And I'd like to populate this into 3 columns in a table. Let me get the page titles to begin with. Now to do this, I start selecting items like title and the next title in the next row. And you can see that we have column A starting to be populated here. After we've done this, we may want to select the link associated with each row. So I'll click on Add Column, and this time I'll attempt to do the exact same thing, but I'll select link instead of text as my option. So link and the next link. And you can see that the links are populated. The third thing I'd like to select is the image associated with each row. If I click Add Column and go to Image, I can now do the same again. You can see images are populated. There's several more advanced options here, like using custom selectors and selecting HTML specifically, but we'll cover this in other tutorials. For now, I'll limit myself to these 3 columns. If the content that you'd like to select is within an iframe, that means a page within a page, as some websites have. You can use Interact with iframes to do this. By default, Axiom won't do this, as it can cause some confusion with our bots. But if you notice that you can't select the text that you need, try to enable this option. For now, my task is done, and I'll click Complete to move to the next step. If I want to select all of this data across multiple pages, I may need to use a pager, and Axiom comes with a built-in pager functionality to do this. If you'd like Axiom to click through to the next page, click on Find Pager, and then select the pager. By default, Axiom will select a maximum number of results. This is because when you're scraping data, it could potentially go on almost infinitely and use up a lot of your runtime. To select a number of data that you need, you can just set the max results here. There are some instances when perhaps the scraping is too slow for your needs, in which case you can configure the scraper. The scraper by default is configured for accuracy because it can take, for example, a few page loads to get the correct data that you need, as data often loads in the background. With the configure scraper option, you can configure things like how often the page waits for and the number of times it attempts to scrape the results when it's not found. Set these items lower if you'd like the scraper to run quicker. For pages that don't have a pager, that they simply have an infinite scroll, Axiom will attempt to scroll automatically up and down the page to select the data you need. If you'd like to configure this scrolling behavior, you can do that here as well. And this will tell you how many pixels you can scrape at a time. Sorry, pixels you can scroll at a time. Our final step is to write the data to a Google Sheet, and in this case, you can just choose your sheet name here. This covers some of the basics of scraping data with Axiom. More advanced cases we'll cover in other tutorials.